Progressive talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners, so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
America has a problem.
Heard you got that deep for me. Pray your love is deep for me. I'ma make you go weak for me. Make you wait a whole week for me.
Okay, you are checking in with RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. What is going on? What is the deal? It is Thursday night, and we, as usual, have a great deal to talk about. So much going on. I hope that you are having an amazing day. I'm going to give you a second to get your snacks, get a beverage, maybe a libation or two. I'm not sure. But we are going to get into some things this evening, as always. I'm so glad that you joined me. This is the show where we hit up all the trending topics and headlines in entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture with me, Jill Munroe. So let me give you the rundown of what we're going to be talking about tonight, because there is a lot going on. We're going to talk about Shein. That's a fast fashion brand. I'm not sure if you're aware, ladies, I don't know if you hit them up. Fellas, maybe, your girl has bought some things from them. They've been hit with a RICO charge. A fast fashion brand get hit with a RICO charge. We're going to get into that and give you the details on that. We are also going to discuss, listen, there is a lot happening with Disney and what their plans are for the future, and it involves some of your favorite networks. They might be looking to get rid of some of them. We're also going to talk about TikTok. There is a TikTok challenge that is being accused of being responsible for some deaths. But is it really? We're going to get into all of that. We're also going to discuss how your guy Jay-Z, it's something nice happening for him at the Brooklyn Museum. We're going to get into a little bit of that. We're going to get into Jimmy Butler's dating life. He is rumored to be seeing a singer, the Miami Heat star. We're going to talk about Diddy. He is launching an e-commerce brand. We're going to get into a little bit about that. And would you go into business with Diddy? We're going to talk about that, all of that and more. But before we get into all of those things, a little conversation starter. I mentioned to you that Jay-Z is being honored at Brooklyn's Public Library in New York. So on the outside of the building, it has all of his song lyrics. Everything from like Justify My Thug, Hovey Baby, Encore, all of his hits. It looks like a newspaper, and they're running his lyrics on it. And the reason why is because starting tomorrow, there's going to be a multimedia exhibit called The Book of Hove, which is a tribute to Jay at the Brooklyn Public Library. It's recognizing Jay-Z's extraordinary journey from Brooklyn's Marcy Projects to a global figure. There's going to be thousands of archived objects, including original recording masters, never before seen photos, iconic stage wear, prestigious awards, recognitions, videos, artifacts, all of those little things that connect his career. You can see it, you can touch it. And one of the most exciting things to me that I think is incredible is that they're going to be offering library cards with artwork from each of Jay-Z's album, but you'll be able to pick them up at different branches. So, paying homage to Jay-Z, encouraging people to read, getting that literacy rate up. I love it. There's an event taking place tonight with all of the luminaries coming out to honor Jigga. Do we still call him Jigga? I do on occasion. Andy says yeah. So, maybe it's like, we'll talk about this later. Diddy, Puffy, P. Diddy, Love, whichever. I think that they're different eras of the person, always the same person. But we're going to get into all of that and more when we come forward. We're not going to break yet. I'm just telling you what's coming. These are just conversation starters. We're bubbling, right? So I also have the good question of the night. And I have a guest this evening that I will tell you about too, but we're going to get her input on the good question of the night and yours as well. So here's the scenario, right? Now, if you were listening to KBLA earlier, we just left Zoe Williams' show. And we know Zoe talks a lot about relationships. That is his thing. You can get some good advice. You can get some good perspectives, right? So I have a question that borders in that area that I saw on social media. So a guy put this text exchange out between he and a young lady that he was attempting to date to get some feedback, right? So she texted him. They had plans for a date later that evening. She texted him and said hello. His response was, "Hey, hope you had a good day. I'm excited for tomorrow. I can pick you up, but if you're not comfortable with that, we can just meet there." Then he adds, "I don't know why, but I'm feeling like getting some ice cream in this hot weather." And he put laughing out loud. Her response was, "Sorry if this may come off as rude, but I don't do ice cream dates. I'm a 26-year-old woman, and a date like that seems like the absolute bare minimum for me. Meeting up would be a waste of both of our time since we probably don't have the same vibe. Best wishes." So, my good question of the evening is, would you go on an ice cream date with someone that you like? Or is that really like lower level dating, and every date out the gate has to be, that $200 date, that number one stunner where you hitting up Catch, you hitting up Yamashiro's, you spending that dough, y'all get dressed up and put it on. Is that the only type of date that satisfies you for a first date? And what type of first dates are you offering? What is acceptable? We're going to talk about that. That is our good question. All that and more. And our guest, Lize B, will get into it. She is a host, a hairstylist on set. So, she hooks up some of your favorite celebs when they are in films and TV shows. And we're also going to talk about her history in a hip hop girl group back in the day. So all of that when we come forward. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
More when we come forward.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like watering your lawn during the hottest time of the day and leaky faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on. K-Drip.
When I can't sleep, my mind just races. I think about work, the kids, but I don't think about taking melatonin because I'm afraid I'll feel groggy in the morning.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies has an optimal dose of melatonin for no next-day grogginess, so you can fall asleep naturally and wake up feeling refreshed. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies for better sleep like never before. And try Pure Z Sleep plus next-day energy with melatonin plus extended-release B vitamins.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
"Those stomach issues ruined your birthday"?
"You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa."
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist and ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SC Yeah scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are back with RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Now, before we get into all of these trending topics and headlines, I have to let you know where you can catch up with us and get it in. Of course, I need you following all the socials, KBLA 1580. I'm at Stiletto Jill. If you're not following me yet, why? And we're live streaming on YouTube right now. The chat is lit. You know, we take in your commentary. We discuss what you have to say, so you can come and join that way. Also, if you want to get in the conversation live, hit us up on the phone lines, 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. And last but certainly not least, there's a KBLA app, and you can take us with you on the go everywhere. You can even leave messages for all the hosts, not just me, but you can leave one special for me because I'm putting you on game right now. I'm giving you the dirt, the access, the keys, you know? So that's what's up with that. Now that we have those things established, first I want to introduce you to my guest for the evening. Tonight we have Miss Lize B joining us. Liz is an OG LA girl, native, born and raised. You know that is big to me. You hear a lot about Los Angeles on this show as far as natives because people have the wrong idea. And I want to make sure you guys understand that it's real and we're about that action, not violence. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying we're about that action, right? Okay. So Liz is, again, a native LA. She's an entrepreneur. She's vivacious, outgoing, quick-witted. She's a host. She has been moving in these Hollywood circles for quite a long time, was a hip-hop dancer in the 90s in some of your favorite videos. She also was in a music group back then, a hip-hop group called Nut and Nice. It's In My Nature. That was the first single. We love the video with the black and white, and it's very vintage 90s. Like, you should check it out. Go look it up right now while we're doing. And she's, I'm not telling
No,
nothing.
not you, me.
You were 12.
90s.
You were 12.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was 16.
You were young.
I was 16. I was 16.
Yeah, you were young. And so, also, Liz is currently working on, well, not right now, because, child, there's a strike that we have talked about, the SAG after strike and the Writers Guild strike. So
Yes.
all production is down, but Liz also is taking care of some of your favorites on set as far as their hair looks. And we're going to talk with her about these trending topics. Now, first up, I got to ask you.
Yes.
Ice cream dates. Would you go on an ice cream date? If a guy hit you with that message, would you be offended? What would be your response?
I'm going on an ice cream date. There's nothing wrong with an ice cream date. That would be good. That's a good way to get to know someone on an ice cream date. You know, I think social media has taken, like, it has messed up everyone's relationship. It has taken away from real life perspective.
Right.
Real.
People can't
That's
just
it.
get together and do what they like. So here's my thing. Like, I don't have a problem with it either. Now, are you going to ice cream date me to death? Absolutely not.
No, it's part of getting to know each other.
But I like a cool little ice cream date, maybe a little walking date. And here is my thing, what people underestimate, right?
Right.
When you go to dinner or lunch, that is a long time to sit with someone that you may not really be connecting with in person and have to have a conversation on a meal. So if I'm just getting to know you, let's do something light. I mean, yeah, we have phone conversation, but you have to see if that in-person chemistry is working out. So, I mean, it's okay. It can't be everything. Like,
but what if he doesn't like you and y'all go on this extravagant date and
exactly.
now like he's going to we're going half, 50-50.
No. You're not doing that.
No,
you're taking me out. You have to pay for the bill.
No, but that's why you take your time.
But I'm also not letting a man be cheap with me, though. So don't say, hey, look at Andy's going crazy. Andy, we are on the same page. We are locked in it together. We are on the same page. I am just saying, you're not going to ice cream date me to death, and you're also not going to be like, well, I don't know if you deserve my time. Like, come on now. Let's not do all of that. If you want to get to know me, we should get to know each other. It doesn't have to be, we don't necessarily have to go to catch, like I just said, but I don't mind an ice cream date. I said that, but don't think you're going to take your budgeting issues out on me in our time. I'm just saying. Andy, go ahead.
Well, first off, shout out to y'all for accepting the ice cream date. And the reason why I think it's important for ladies to take that ice cream date is because if we end up vibing, we might not finish at the ice cream spot.
It could be an all-day date.
It could be an all-day date. We could go.
It could be a $2,000 date.
Right.
We could go walk on the beach, and then, man, if you popping like that, man, we can go to what do you say? Catch afterwards?
Nobu. If you're walking on the beach, we could go down to Nobu, Malibu,
but like
right?
you said, going to the beach, eating ice cream. We might put on some skates. Well,
right.
I like to skate, so skating on the beach, having fun. That's cool to me.
I just think Again, I think that once again, let's be clear. By date 5, we cannot still be going on ice cream dates.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, show me that you appreciate my time, boo. But I don't mind it.
Okay,
I don't mind
right.
it. Yeah,
That's
we could start
That's
there.
all.
So, okay, good. Well, let's talk about Shein.
Oh,
so,
my God.
they are a fast fashion retailer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very popular. You can get in a full ensemble for $2. Might be Prop 65 California warning attached with the look, but you can get your fashion looks for very cheap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have been hit with a RICO lawsuit. The plaintiffs in this are independent artists, designers who say that Shein created and sold exact copies of their designs by utilizing social media, creating algorithms to quickly identify, they created some type of analytics to quickly identify trending styles and rip off the designs of these small business owners. We know they can turn them around fast. And then so it's copyright infringement right there. But also because they allegedly have a bunch of shell companies that shield the actual corporation, that's where the RICO comes in, because they're acting as a conglomerate, not a corporation. And it's considered organized crime. So they are being hit with a statute that was created for the mob, right?
Oh,
mob. So the newly filed lawsuit accuses the owner. They said that there's no Coco Chanel behind this brand, Yves Saint Laurent. The Shein empire is mysterious tech guru and genius. His name is Chris Zhu. I might have mispronounced that. I apologize if I have. And they're the world's top clothing company, but no one can really trace who the leadership is. And they change up the SKUs on the designs that they have so that when they are hit with lawsuits from these designers and artists, the sales numbers don't match what really happens, because they manipulate the SKUs on the items and will put them on different sites, so that if I sue, let's say they took my t-shirt design and I sue them and the judge rules in my favor, they might have really sold 100,000 pieces, but because the SKU that I'm referencing and that I could find says that they only sold 100, they only have to pay me for 100 instead of the 100,000 that they actually sold. So we'll keep our eye on that. That's going. What are your thoughts? Have you ever stopped at Shein?
No, I haven't, but I see that everyone's wearing it. It's like you said, that Prop what is it? 60? What is
Prop
it?
65 warning, where
Yes,
the
that'd be
chemicals in these
little cheap clothing
could potentially poison you for life. That's what it says. Like literally, the warnings are they put them in the ad things. Usually, it's attached to the clothes.
But if
when they
you're
come.
out here stealing from the smaller entrepreneurs and people that's trying to make it, you deserve to get caught up because we're tired of the people like stealing from people that's trying to make it. How can the people make it if you're stealing?
I mean,
the little people.
Listen, and they got a whole system. Like, this is really a tech business because how are you flipping things through the? I mean, that stuff usually reserved for cleaning money, not fashion, but apparently we're in a new era.
I thought they had another scandal with them as well.
They did. They just had, just a few weeks ago, they took a bunch of influencers because obviously, well, not obviously, they're accused of running a sweatshop. They're a Chinese company. And they took some influencers over to show them, hey, this is our workshop. This is where people work. See, the conditions aren't really bad. And the influencers got a lot of backlash because they said that, one, they took influencers that couldn't afford to turn down the opportunity or have an impartial opinion. Not that many influencers do, because if you're paying them, who really is like, yeah, they paid me, they flew me out here, but
I mean, I don't have anything.
Trash.
I didn't hire them. But it's, yeah. They're in a little scandal. Somebody's trying to bring them down.
Yep. So, we'll see what happens with that. We'll keep our eye on that. So, speaking of social media things, we all have seen various TikTok challenges. There's dancing ones. There was the cinnamon thing a few years back, all sorts of things. So, recently, right before the 4th of July weekend, there was all of this news about this TikTok boat jumping challenge where people were jumping off the back of the boat into the waves and supposedly they slipped and were hitting their head on pieces of the boat or something and drowning. And several news stations reported about the incident. Well, here's the problem. The challenge wasn't real. It didn't happen. It wasn't on TikTok. And not only that, no one died during this. So, the news report started in Alabama, right? And it said basically the last 6 months we've had 4 drownings that were easily avoidable. Jim Dennis, who's the captain of the Childerberg's rescue team, told a local ABC affiliate in Birmingham, Alabama. But again, no one researched the story. The claims that 4 people had drowned didn't happen. No one had any information about that. TikTok said, yeah, we've never even seen this challenge on our servers because they reached out. So my question to you is, do you think investigative, just basic fact checking is dying? And it seems like since the election in 2016, the truth doesn't matter anymore. It's just what you like more. So what are your thoughts?
Fake news. Now, I'm not going to go with the fake news, but absolutely. I think everyone sees something that's popular and they believe it and they run and they post it without doing their own research on the situation. So, yes, it is dying, like you said. Like, come on, guys. You're a real news station and you're on TikTok looking at these people act like they're flying off the boat. Like, they broke their neck. I saw what you were talking about, but I'm like, it was fake.
Yep. It didn't happen.
So it just goes to show you that you can put anything out and people will believe it and run with the story, and it might not be true.
Right. So, I mean, I just want to know what happened to doing your due diligence, doing your own research. Really quickly, shout out to Leslie Holmes in the chat. She said she just discovered RSVP last night. She really enjoyed it. And she also says she sees nothing wrong with ice cream dates. So thank you, Leslie, for tapping in. Thank you for coming back. And Andy says, thank you for appreciating ice cream dates. We all see it's a group thing. Women aren't really that demanding. I think a lot of that is social media posturing.
Yes.
But I understand you're allowed to have your standards. You're really allowed to be as picky as you want to when you date someone, because that's an interpersonal relationship. It really only concerns the two of you, and you got to, kind of deal with it. So that's my thought really quick. Andy, what say you?
But are you dating me or are you dating what I can do for you?
It's not about what you can do for me, but let's be realistic with this, right? You're dating the person, but if you like that person so much, right? But you're at a point where, let's say you work a job that is 9 to 9, like you got to pull a 12-hour shift, split it up or whatever, something like that, right?
Okay.
And you're with a man, and you know, the reason why you work this 12-hour shift is you got student loan payments to pay off, you know, you're trying to get this, you're trying to work it in, right? And your man is like, hey, I like dinner cooked for me every night, at least 2 times a week. But you got this 12-hour shift and you're beat down, right? So you're like, hey, I Uber well. We could Uber Eats. I got you all day.
I can send you some food.
And he's like, no, I like my woman to cook. I don't want to eat out. We are fundamentally not going to work.
Right.
It's not about the fact that I'm not saying you need to pay for my, you know, or whomever, the girl pay for the student loans. But we aren't going to be compatible. We're not going to be able to move because our priorities are different. And these are certain things that you want from a woman in your relationship that you're allowed to ask for. And there's somebody that can give you that. But it just may not be that individual. So, you know, I think that those are the type of things that shape that. Because we all know it's the little things. And what is the number one cause of divorce? Money. And what is the divorce rate? Over 50%. So, I mean, come on.
But is it because people are marrying? Okay, but are you marrying the wrong person? Like you saying, like pretty much, because back in the day, people stayed together for years.
But they stayed but is it because they wanted to, or is it because they have to? You think about this. I think about my parents got married in the late 60s, right? My parents were together for 50 years, married for 45 before my father passed away. So here's the thing. When they got together and got married, a woman was not allowed to have her own credit. She could only have credit through a man, right?
Okay.
Couldn't have her own, you know, account, really couldn't have their name on a mortgage, things like that, right? So my parents were fine and they were happy. But let's say another woman wasn't. But could she leave? What would she do? How would she survive? So I think it was a different type of setup and scenario at the time. The man really was the breadwinner. That's the way that things are set up. What happened in the 70s where you saw the divorce rate pick up is because of the women's lib movement. There were more women working outside of the home that could take care of some of those bills and things of that nature. So there wasn't as much of a need to stay in a relationship that maybe wasn't fundamentally working, but everybody was getting what they need. Man getting dinner, house taking care of kids, woman being financially provided for. So it was more, you know, that. What you got to say, Andy? I see you rubbing your hands. I see you rubbing your hands together.
Yeah.
So the independence of a woman destroyed the marriage. Because who's the one, who are the people that are leading the divorces? It's the women, right?
Because not necessarily.
Women filed for divorce more than men do. But this is why I think, because women tend to give men. I'm gonna say this, and I'm not going overboard with this. Well, actually, when we come forward, I will explain to you about my thoughts on all of this marriage type of thing and what's happening. I'm gonna connect the dots for you. All of that and more. You are listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 15 and 80. News and sports is up next.
With the racks, RVP on my bag, double G's on my dash. I'm bad. I'm bad. Where you wanna get? Well, you can't get no higher than this. No, 'cause love don't get no higher than this. No. Grind, boy, you know I grind. When I pull up this change your mind.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Black Los Angeles City Councilman Curran Price made his first court appearance in his criminal case. Curran is accused of theft by embezzlement, perjury, and conflict of interest for allegedly voting on projects involving developers who were tied to his wife's consulting firm, then keeping the connection quiet. In Columbia, Tennessee, people packed into Mount Calvary Missionary Baptist Church last night to join in prayer in response to KKK-related flyers that were left outside 3 black places of worship last Sunday. Faith leaders Manager Dr. Larry Thomas said hate has shown up before and they've always survived. The brutal heat wave continues to impact much of the southern U.S. In Death Valley, California, temperatures could potentially reach 130 degrees this weekend, which would match the highest temperature ever recorded on Earth. In El Paso and Miami, the highs have been over 100 degrees for nearly a month. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. At Blindster, we offer over 50 different custom window treatments, including faux wood blinds and shutters, all at prices less than retail. Plus, we'll send you free samples before you buy. Don't hire an expensive pro. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
Black Lives Matters turns 10, and KBLA Talk 1580 is proud to be the exclusive media partner of the People's Justice Festival. This Saturday, July 15th, 12 to 6 p.m. in Leimert Park. Come join us as we celebrate the life-saving and history-making work of Black Lives Matter to help bend the arc of the moral universe toward justice. There will be live music performances, a children's village, giveaways, vendors, a healing justice space, Skillshare, and amazing speakers including Green Party presidential candidate Dr. Cornel West, live on stage at 4:30 p.m. For more information, go to blmgrassroots.org. That's www.blmgrassroots.org. Dominique DePrima and Tavis Smiley will be main stage hosts throughout the day, and the KBLA Talk 1580 delegation will be out in full force. So, join us this Saturday, July 15th, 12 to 6 p.m. in Leimert Park as we celebrate the 10th anniversary of Black Lives Matter. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
I done plant my seeds, now I'm rooted. Brown skin popping, I'm rooted. Can pull the hood out, but I'm rooted. Rooted, nappy head, rooted.
Have you heard about Lendistry? Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered right here in LA. Once you've started your business, Lendistry provides flexible financing options starting at $50,000 to help you access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit lendistry.com/KBLA to learn more.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Roll Charmin Ultra Strong when you drop in the beat. It cleans with way less effort on your seat. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Charmin flows extra strong from the road. Your butt hella clean while you're sitting on the bowl. Yeah, it's all you need for that bathroom groove. Get you in and out without nothing to prove.
Charmin Ultra Strong cleans better so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh. Hey, what?
I've been watching me, and I know you want it.
Yeah.
But it depends on how you
kick your game.
Come on, let me kick a little game to you. Baby, let me kick a little game to you. Come on,
back the
let me
90s
kick a little
music.
game
That's
to
what we
you.
missing.
Baby, let me kick a little game to you. I've been watching you, watching me, and I know you want it.
Listen, this is a whole bop.
This is a vibe.
You are checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Had a little 90s vibe. We had to dip back. It's Throwback Thursday. We could do that.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Yes.
Right? I like it. So before we came forward, we were talking about marriage. And Andy's position is that the independent woman led to the downfall of marriage. Not exactly that. I'm exaggerating. But essentially, that's what he kind of implied. I'm putting a little extras on it. You know, that's how we do. But this is what the conversation is. So my position is that while that is true, here's the thing that you have to think about. I remember being a kid, and like I said, I grew up through that era of not my parents, but watching some of my friends' parents separate and divorce and things of that nature. And one thing that stood out, right, is that a lot of times these women were definitely left in lesser positions as the mom. Their homes, their whatever. There was a definite difference between what the home life was like with the mother and that child or those children, and how the father was living. And sometimes, you know, dads tend to bounce back quick or whatever. So I just think that, one, it was a financial thing. Women had to take care of themselves because they were being very dependent on their man, the way that they were taught to be, and to serve the man and put the family first. And when the men at that time seemed to decide that the marriage was over, they wanted to move around, they wanted a younger model, whatever the case was, the women were left in positions of not being able to care for themselves, or not being able to care for themselves in the same way that they were. So yeah, they stepped up there like, let me get educated, let me get my money together, let me make sure that I can take care of myself outside of this man, because I am making this relationship, this marriage, this my family, the center of my universe. And when these children grow up and move out of the house, when, you know, things happen, as they inevitably do, look.
So then it trickles down.
Trickles down. So, and then now, and that's where we are now. If you like it, put a ring on it. I got it my own, all of that.
It's true what they say. Mama's babies, daddy's maybes.
Listen, we got DNA tests for that. We don't
No,
need
but what
any
I
of that,
mean by
but,
that
yeah.
is the mother is gonna
Be
responsible.
yeah.
And the dad can walk away and build another life with another woman and start over
and do things differently. So I think that has caused an overcorrection. I'm not saying that there aren't some situations in women where we hear too much. I'm independent. I don't need. You're right. You don't need a man. I don't need a man. But, you know, you can want one.
You can want one. There's a
Sometimes I feel
difference.
like a want is stronger than a need, because it's not based off of your bare essentials, what you need to survive. It's based off of a desire. So that's kind of my thoughts on that subject.
Okay, so
let me put a disclaimer on it. No. I am not married, so direct all your complaints someplace else. These are just my thoughts. I'm not judging,
opinion.
you know,
Okay.
I'm not judging anyone's situation. However you choose to work that out is how you work that out. And I do think that, like Liz was discussing, we do put unfair expectations on each other. And right now, I talked about this the other night with social media. You have a point. It's like dial and deliver. It's a menu. People believe that they have more options available to themselves than they actually do. And that is the hard
It's a
truth.
false narrative
It's a
going
whole
on.
world out there for you. Really?
It's a
Where
false
they at?
narrative.
Who's going to clip them toenails when they get out of pocket?
No,
What's
because
going on?
today, the new age, women or men find themselves getting divorced and they're like, I should have stayed in my relationship.
You know,
because there's nothing out here.
You know,
I mean, it is something out here, but you're going to have to dig through the clearance rack, through the trenches to find what you're looking for.
Andy, I see you. I'm with it.
I'm trying to figure out a way to ask this question. So,
go ahead.
Social media plays a factor. I'm curious to know, is it just the men that fall into the pressure of social media?
No,
do women fall into that
both.
too?
Yes.
Okay. I'm saying
We're not
it's
saying
both.
it's just men, it's
I'm not
both.
saying I'm saying both think that they have way more options available to them than what is really there. Every girl thinks that, oh, I'm gonna go out and find a 6'4" baller.
Yes.
Baby, you may not have the equipment to get that bait. And I'm not saying that like, well, I'm being a little shady, but I'm being funny. But the reality is like,
no, the reality is
10 girls think that. We all know that just by a sheer numbers game, there's more women than men, right? When you're talking about supposedly the creme de la creme, the high value men or whatever you want to call them.
Oh, not the high value.
Listen,
Lord.
whatever.
Not yet.
Wait,
hold on.
There's going to be
Shout out to
even
Kevin
more.
Sanders.
Oh, don't start no mess.
There's going to be even more competition for that. And that's fine. You can be up for the challenge, but there's also different type of expectations that go along with that, you know, things that you may not feel like doing. And I'm not talking about the crazy stuff that people talk about. I'm just talking about like hair, nails, makeup on point every day. Make sure you're hitting the gym.
The lace front on every day.
The lace front on
the lashes.
You know
like
what I'm
as
saying?
long as a track.
Do you know, because if this man looks this good and has all of these things, then he's going to want someone to match that energy. And if you don't feel that energy 24/7, what's going to happen? You know? So, I don't know.
Love
Liz,
yourself,
what do you think?
ladies. Love yourself. Love yourself. That's the most important thing. That's all I can tell you. Love yourself.
Listen.
Don't fall into the trap. Just love yourself.
Jerry Anderson is in the chat. He said, do you know what kind of mindset you have to have for an ice cream date not to be acceptable? As I mentioned to you, she was 26 years old. So I think that is when we talk about the influence of social media.
Okay, yes.
Social media has conditioned this generation to sort of feel as if that, you know,
That's
there
not
are
good enough.
that's not enough. So Jerry said it's a trigger alert for him, and the grass is always greener on the other side. The grass is always greener. That's why I said people think they have a lot more options than are actually there and available to them.
People think the grass is greener on the other side. They get over there, it's dead weeds. That's the problem.
It is. So, Liz,
Yes.
we mentioned that you are a hairstylist on set, TV and film.
Yes.
The SAG-AFTRA strike has just started. How does that impact you as far as your work?
Well, it's impacting me because we're not working. I mean, I can do clients, you know, my regular clients, but as far as on set, working, it's a no.
Okay.
It's a no right now.
It's a no right now.
It's a no right now. And then it was some little executive, what's the name of the magazine?
Deadline, yeah.
Deadline was talking
They
about.
said they're going to starve the writers. So
until they're out of their apartments in their homes? Really? Got to be careful what you say, though, because that karma might hit you.
I mean, I think that's what people don't understand. They think about, the very rich, top of the food chain, the celebrities, that 1% of the Screen Actors Guild. But it also impacts people like you that work on set. It impacts the cafes and the restaurants that are around the area and the sets. It impacts people that work in production and do lines. So it's a lot deeper than just what the stars are getting. So shout out to them. We are supporting them in that. So
shout out Loco 706.
That's right. So we got to go back a little bit, right?
Okay, go back.
Because we mentioned the 90s, you know, you in videos, dancing, hip hop dancing. Well, actually, we're going to get into that when we come forward. We're going to talk about which videos, and we're going to talk about your time being in a hip hop group, a singing R&B group with a hip hop edge in the 90s, and what that experience was like. Because I think sometimes people don't really know the history, especially when it comes to groups that started in LA and what was happening at that time. So we're going to have a conversation around
let's
that.
talk about it.
All that and more. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
trending topics, and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hollywood Walk of Fame stars in 2024. Stay tuned to find out who's in next year's class. I'm Aisha Cairo with your K-Black Minute News. A new group of 31 entertainment professionals across film, television, radio, recording, and sports entertainment will have their names etched into Hollywood's history in 2024. One of the most celebrated names on the list was the beloved Chadwick Boseman. Others for the class of 2024 in Hollywood Walk of Fame was this year's Oscar winner Michelle Yeoh in the motion picture category. Other notable names include Chris Pine, Gwen Stefani, Andre, Dr. Dre, Young, Otis Redding, Christina Ricci, Brandy Norwood, Harry Washington, and more. The dates for the star ceremonies have not yet been scheduled. To find out all 31 inductees, visit youtube.com/Walk of Fame.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like BizCamp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talents, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. The Center for the Pacific Asian Family was founded to help address domestic violence and sexual assault in the Asian and the Pacific Islander communities. The Center for the Pacific Asian Family's mission is to build healthy and safe communities by addressing the root causes and consequences of family violence and violence against women. They are committed to meeting the specific cultural and language needs of the Asian and Pacific Islander women and their families. CPAF's vision is of an Asian and Pacific Islander community that embraces healthy relationships and works in partnership with other communities to eradicate all forms of violence. To access services, volunteer, or for more info, visit nurturingchange.org. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe everyone deserves to be safe. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
Hey, it's Jill Munroe. Welcome forward. Thank you for rocking with RSVP VIPs. Now, let me remind you again, if you have commentary on this, which I know you probably do, you're probably standing up, looking at your radio right now, talking, all of that. Make sure you hit up the phone lines, 800-920-1580. And before we get back into this topic, I just want to let you know that Black Lives Matter turns 10 this weekend. The People's Justice Festival is taking place in Leimert Park this weekend. And of course, your KBLA family will be in the building. Outside, in the building is just an expression, but rock with me. There's going to be performances, a children's village, giveaways, speakers, vendors, and a healing justice space. I'm not really sure what that is, but I can't wait to find out. And if you're curious about that too, make sure you are in Leimert Park Saturday, July 15th from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Come check us out. You won't regret it. Now, back on topic. About this marriage thing. So listen, here's the reality, my thoughts. Kevin Samuels, as was mentioned, he was harsh in his delivery. Sometimes he said some things that made sense. I do not agree with his positioning overall, but that's neither here nor there. Here nor there. The thing about this, as far as relationships, is just that I feel as though you are allowed to be as selective as you want because it is your interpersonal relationship. The important thing is finding someone you match with and that you feel like you guys can grow together. Because obviously, as people grow, they change. You hope that you continue to grow in the same direction together, but sometimes you don't. So if you have to separate, it's not that big of a deal. It's just that it shouldn't always be that one person is left downtrodden. And because those feelings are gone, you know, the women were left with not much. So they took their lick back. And that's kind of how we ended up where we are now, you know?
Right.
But Liz, let's talk about the hip hop videos in the 90s and all of that. How did you get into dancing? And did you always know that you wanted to be in a group, or did you just kind of fall into that?
Okay, so I always thought I wanted to be a singer. I was like, I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to be this. That was my thing. But how I got into the videos and dancing was going to Regina's. I don't know if anybody know about Regina's Dance Studio on La Brea.
On La Brea, right? And in the Valley was Victor Drew's, right? Or what? I can't remember.
I don't know which one that was.
Yeah. But no, I remember Regina's. They used to have all the hip-hop classes. That's where all the choreography would happen for the videos back in the 90s.
All the videos. But my first audition, I went with Danielle, one of my friends. She's a dancer. She's like a real trained dancer.
Danielle Artis. She's also an actress. She was on Insecure. What was Danielle's role? I don't remember. She had a guest arc on Insecure. She played the receptionist when Molly moved to the new agency. Anyway, go ahead.
So I went to a Jody Watley audition, but I could really dance, not like jazz dance. So I couldn't really catch it because they were doing more like jazz in some of the videos, and I wasn't really confident in that. But that's how I really started. That was my really first audition with my friend Danielle.
Okay. And so from there, were you in that guy video, I Want to Get With You? I feel like everybody
Yes, I was in I Want to Get With You, or Bobby Brown video. Like, it was quite a few, you know.
Quite a few back at that time.
Yeah, it wasn't like I was out there but I was in the videos.
No, I remember.
Yes.
So listen, and then from there, how did you end up in Nuttin' Nice?
Actually, I met some we created Nuttin' Nice. Actually, me and some friends created Nuttin' Nice. It started off with 5 of us, and it ended up with 3. And how we ended up with Nuttin' Nice, like really getting the deal and doing the video, we were headed to a Heavy D video. Me and Tisa, I don't know if Andi. No, we was out here.
You were out here?
We was out here, but a girl named Shalon, she was like, I know these guys from Chicago, and if you guys are serious, they will invest.
Was it the Now That We Found Love video or something else?
It was some video that was on the beach.
Okay.
I don't even remember, but we was just practicing the stuff that we had created at home, and Shalon was like, if you guys are serious, I'll introduce you to these guys and they will invest in your group. What they did was, one weekend, we met the guys, went out to dinner. They was like, let me see what y'all got. We was in the parking lot of the restaurant, perform, and they really liked it. We was in Chicago that weekend, like they really invested. Next thing you know, we moved to Chicago. Had to actually have my family, my sister, friends, they all packed up our apartment. We didn't even come back. We stayed.
I didn't know that you guys, I always thought that you guys moved to New York. This is the side.
We went to Chicago first.
Okay.
Because he was from Chicago. And if I say who he is, that would be a whole nother story.
No, we don't have to get into that.
Yeah, right.
Like leave that part in the 90s.
Yeah, leave it there.
Let's talk about that time frame, because the thing was, it was really iconic. Like you said, you were on these video shoots, friends with all these different people. I remember going to see Bobby perform at Soul Train, and you were there. I don't know if you were dancing. I remember like Josie danced for him or whatever. It was for the Humpin' Around album.
Okay.
And so I remember that time frame. It was just like every weekend, all of that stuff. It was something about that era where you could just hop up on a video shoot and hop up in a video, and very old school in that sort of LA thing that you used to hear, like people could get discovered walking down the street. That was kind of real. Like if you put yourself in the right place.
If you put yourself in the right circle, you were able to get in auditions. It wasn't like now you have to show that you're on the list to get into the auditions. Before, you can just crash the auditions and show up. Like, that's how it was.
And so you've watched sort of hip hop evolve. You've watched, because like one of the things when you guys started out, and I think that this is something that people often forget. I think Aaliyah gets a lot of credit for the tomboy steez that was going on, but I feel like a lot of girl groups from the 90s, a few that started here, like you guys, YNV, what are those girls why are you shaking?
I'm loving SWV, all those
Conscious Daughters had that sort of, and that was just the way that girls dressed in the 90s, kind of,
tomboyish,
that tomboyish, but
sexy.
Still had the like sexy edge. The clothing was sort of different. Now you look at women are running hip hop. They are doing amazing. They're running up the charts. We just had our first #1 album on the Hot 200 charts for 2023 for a rap album. That's the first time that happened since 2023. It wasn't a female. It was Lil Uzi's verse.
Okay.
I just want to rock. Right.
Okay.
But the point is that women right now are really running it. But the difference is between then and now. It's like women have always been a little sexy. There was the raunchy edge. But now it's like you really aren't going to go anyplace if you aren't presenting sort of in the stripper aesthetic or just, very barely there clothing. And I'm all for women doing whatever they want. I'm not saying I have a problem with that. But there can't be any balance. Like, why aren't women really allowed to thrive without being so sexual in this era?
Well, you know what? I don't think that they can't thrive. I think that that's what they think. Because guess what? After you came out already like the stripper, where can you go? And that's the problem with these ladies. You're already thinking that you're I'm the stripper. When Britney Spears came out, she got into the toxic. She gradually, that's how you build your career.
But do you think that sort of mythology is old? That whole, we're going to start her off as sweet and then we're going to, eventually she's going to have the album where she breaks free. I mean, we saw Janet do it. We saw Britney do it. It's really a hallmark of coming of age. Christina Aguilera did it with Stripped.
Ice Spice is doing it right now. Even though she has a little sex appeal, her music and how she's coming with it, she's not talking about my penis. She's not doing that. She might have a little sex appeal, but that's how her career is. That's why she's winning. She's approachable.
Okay.
I feel like she's like kid friendly.
So you feel like she's more like girl next door, cute, sexy than like, oh my God, I don't know if I could bring it in.
I'm just busting out like it's like, where can you go from that? I mean, seriously.
I mean, I suppose you could go in reverse because you even think about someone like Miley Cyrus. Obviously, we saw her go from her Miley stage, Hannah Montana thing, and then we saw her break out where she was with Mike Will Made It, and it was in the club, rocking with my jeans
Okay,
on.
but she's also not urban.
She's not urban, and I do think that is, you bring up a good point. I think that is something that white pop stars, even kind of white male rappers can do. They are allowed to slide in and out of sort of genres. Like they can have an era. Like Miley had her ratchet era. And then she came back with Wrecking Ball. Let me say this. I like her new stuff. I like all types of music. But I just think it's interesting because I don't necessarily think that the women in hip hop, the black women, the Latino women that are running hip hop are given that same type of agency. And you think of an artist like Post Malone who came out in hip hop and now he is more rock-ish, pop-ish. He still raps, but it's a different thing. It's kind of countryish, and he just kind of can leave his hip hop roots behind. They can slip it off and on like a jacket.
Right.
So looking at where it's come from to where it's come now, and we will get your answer to this when we come forward. I want to know from you, what do you think the evolution of females in hip hop is? And do you think we can get back to a time where they're still sexy, but maybe not as overt as they are? We're going to talk about all of that and more with Lize B. Make sure that if you're watching on YouTube, you hit to the next video. You were checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
So I've been watching you, watching me. Depends on how you kick your game. I've been watching you, watching me, and I know you want it. But it depends on how you kick your game.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Black Los Angeles City Councilman Curran Price made his first court appearance in his criminal case. Curran is accused of theft by embezzlement.